Thank you, Bill. So Donald Trump blasting Ted Cruz and John Kasich's plan to team up in an effort to block him from clinching the nomination, calling it collusion, saying that it wouldn't fly in the business world, and in politics, it will backfire. Watch.
Did you see the news today? Did you see where they band together, where they collude? You know, it's collusion. If you collude in business or if you collude in the stock market, they put you in jail. But in politics, because it's a rigged system, because it's a corrupt enterprise, Kasich, we call him 1 for 41. I thought it was 38. He's won one race in 41 states. One. I watched Cruz this morning, and he's all mixed up because he's losing so badly. And when he's under pressure, he's like a basket case. So he's stuttering, and he's stammering.
Donald Trump's son, Eric Trump, is here, Executive Vice President of Development and Acquisitions for the Trump Organization and founder of the Eric Trump Charitable Foundation. You know, we kept hearing that your dad was going to sort of button it up. It was going to become more presidential. He seems in many ways like he's having more fun on the campaign trail in the past couple of days than he did prior.
I was with him all day yesterday, and honestly, it was one of the great days on the campaign trail. I mean, we went to a bunch of different states. We had 3 different major rallies, and it was electric. I mean, I really mean that. It was electric. But in terms of the Cruz-Kasich thing, I mean, it really does look desperate. I'm not a politician. I'm the farthest thing from, right? But I mean, looking into this, it just looks desperate. Here's a failed candidate, right, who's, as my father just said, 1 in 42. Here's another person who hasn't won any state, meaning this being Cruz, that you need in order to win the general election, like New York and Pennsylvania. He's certainly not going to win tonight. In fact, he'll probably come in third, or Virginia. He's not going to win California, right? And they're banding together thinking that, 1 + 1 is going to get them to the magic number when neither of them have done well. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me.
So when you look at what needs to be done, though, because I know there's been a lot of changes in the campaign, you've added a lot of people, in a sense, the business is building out, right? You're trying to expand for the general election. And there's a lot of emphasis on your dad doing some policy speeches down the road. There's an editorial today by Michael Gerson, who wrote speeches for George Bush, basically saying, that it's pretty late in the game to start getting serious about policy, but that's what he's going to try to do, right?
Listen, if you look at many of the messages my father's been talking about since day one, I mean, he was the one who brought up these issues. I mean, he's the one that brought up, the border, the southern border and the major problems that we have because of it. He's the one that brought up corporate inversion and bringing that money back. He's the one that's been talking about reforming the VA because it's a total disaster and ending Common Core and so many of these other things. I mean, there's no one that's talked about the issues more than he has. I mean, many of these things
wouldn't even be... So why do you think he doesn't get credit for that? I mean, so you hear that, and when I talk to people out in the field and they say that they don't want to vote for your dad, that's what they say. They say, well, what's he going to do? He yells about all these things, but he's not specific enough.
Probably because he's not a political insider who, sits in a room and debates these topics every day, right? I mean, here's a man who spent his entire life building a major real estate empire. I mean, that wasn't his world, but he's hit on those topics better than anybody. And quite frankly, they've become topics based on him. And none of those same people, all those same people will give him credit for making those relevant topics back in the political discussion and, quite frankly, not tiptoeing around them. And so, it's really fascinating. It's really fascinating. But we are gearing up for the general election. And quite frankly, Hillary's kind of already starting to hit us. I mean, I think she's already conceded the fact that he's going to get the ultimate nod, and it's exciting. And we're going to get to that 12:30.
Looking like Trump-Clinton is what this is shaping up to, unless something dramatic happens in the meantime, and that's certainly what Kasich and Cruz are hoping will happen. We just saw the soundbite a moment ago where she talked about your dad jumping on jets and going to the penthouse and the mansion in Florida. That was negative for Mitt Romney, his money. And why do you think how are you going to play against that? Because we all know she has money of her own. Well,
yeah, exactly. I saw that. He flies in on his big jet, and he's got this mansion. It's, the difference between my father and Hillary is he's embraced his success, right? He's embraced what has made him so amazing and popular, and that's almost the fact that he's become the epitome of the American dream to many Americans. He worked incredibly hard. He was incredibly sharp. He put everything into his company, and he grew a great organization that employs tens and tens of thousands of people. Instead, she tries to bow away from it. I mean, she lives in Chappaqua, New York, right? This is one of the wealthiest zip codes anywhere in the world. It's not like she's driving a station wagon.
I mean, your dad never ran away from the fact that he made money. He's proud of the fact that he made money, and he has that blue-collar kind of appeal that has definitely worked.
And he wants to make money for this country, too. I mean, that's why he's doing this.
But, if you're going to turn your focus to the general election, you got to look at some of these numbers that were also in this editorial this morning and that we've talked about. Disapproval among women, 70%. From age 18 to 24, he loses to Hillary Clinton by 25 points. You look at the Hispanic vote, he loses to her by 51 points. You guys are surrounded all the time by adoring fans everywhere you go. But when you get to the next stage of this, the game is going to change dramatically. So what do you do to change those numbers that are, you know,
well, look at all the polls that came out yesterday where
we're
we're directly tied with Hillary, and he hasn't spent 1 minute campaigning against her. I mean, she's already waging negative ads against him. He hasn't spent 1 minute campaigning against her. It's also interesting. You look at New York, right, where we won handedly. 59% of the vote that we won in New York was the female vote. If you look at so many of the states,
but that's a GOP vote. You know,
no,
you step outside of that, and the numbers get bigger in those minority groups. You know, the question becomes, what do you do to try to make inroads? Is it a VP pick? Is that something that you guys are talking about within the campaign to try to bridge some of those gaps?
Well, you know, I've said this so many times. If you look at the Hispanic vote, if you look at the African American vote, and in fact, my father's been talking about it. You know, so many, you know, of those sects of society, so many of those communities are, quite frankly, the communities who have been hit hardest by so many of the awful policies that she's put in place, right? Whether be, you know, the bad trade deals, etc. These jobs are leaving the country. They've affected many of those communities worse than they have.
So he feels like it's going to be an economic argument with them as well.
Very much so. Very much so.
All right, Eric, thank you. Always good to see you. We'll see you soon. Take care.